All right, it's 10 o'clock. I guess we could get started. Well, this is a continuation of our eSLA Huddle trainings, where we're opening up the floor for any questions or concerns you guys might have. I do have a few things or updates from yesterday's meeting, which I'll get to at the very end after I've addressed any and all of your guys' questions. So I will. I'm actually working remotely today. When I say remotely, I'm actually in the Waukesha office, so I only have one monitor to go off of. So I'll try and be flipping back and forth here, but I'll share my screen whenever any questions you guys might have pertaining to permits or inspections or anything of that nature. So I guess I will open the floor for any questions you guys might got.
It's Ron here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Just a quick one here. When you first go into the Salesforce and you're going to search for a permit or an application, on your drop-down list in that little search box, and this may be just because it's pre-production, I go with the drop-down box, electrical permit submitted, and some of them don't show up, but then I go down to electrical submitted work list and everything shows up. I don't know if that's where I should be going, as the submitted work list. I would think they'd both be the same.
Well, these particular work lists, I'm sorry, I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see it?
I can see it.
Okay. These particular work lists are work lists that are in a pre-production environment. We created these when we were doing testing, so there are a whole host of work lists in here. There is electrical submitted work list. There's also a master work list, some active pending, depending on certain statuses. We also have petitions for variance and plan review onlys, which you guys won't be dealing with. But these work lists were just for testing purposes. Now, you can create your own work lists, which I know Steve Rasmussen is on the phone today too. He can talk about it as well, but we did send you out that job aid so that you could create your own work list. So you could create a master work list, which has all of your active permits, all permits that are in a submitted status, or even closed permits for that matter. You can create just one work list, or you can create multiple work lists. It's up to you. I recommend that you use that job aid that we did send out, I think last week, about customizing eSLA. In that job aid, it goes through and allows you to create a work list based on the parameters that you want to see. So for example, in this particular one, I'm looking at the master work list, and I created this one just for testing purposes only. I am able to see all of the permits that have a status or have a program of electrical, and I also am showing all of the permits that are in a specific status. So for example, in this case, I'm looking at all of this work list to set up so that I can see all submitted, active, in review, in process permits. This work list does not have anything that is generating fee, which you guys don't have, or that is pending. So I'm not seeing all of those in this particular work list. Now, if I wanted to create another work list just to see those particular permits, I can do so. In addition to that, I could edit this work list by clicking on the little magnifying glass here, and I can add whatever statuses I want to see. So for example, I could select the ones that are pending, or let's say even denied, or I think we have closed here. So I could add those particular statuses to my work list so that when I open up that work list, I'll be able to see everything. It's up to you on how you want to structure it. Now, I do know let me close this real quick. I do know that I'll open up production here, and I'll just show you what production looks like, just so you can see as an example. I've created individual work lists for my staff. So I've got one called Craig Mulder here, for example, and I got one for Steve Rasmussen and one for Tony Tatasak. I've created this personally, again, using that job aid that I sent out. I created this work list so that I can see all of the jobs that were assigned to Craig. So when the permit came in the door, it was already assigned to his particular counties based on the inspector mapping, which I showed you, I think I believe it was the pre-prod training, that all of the counties that are assigned to Craig only show up on this work list view that I created. So you could create the same thing on your side of the table. You can create one called electrical submitted permits Ron, right? Or electrical submitted permits Badger State. You could create multiple different work lists, or you can create just one work list that you use as your master. Basically, it's a wide open canvas for you to create multiple different views, multiple different work lists. Now, I know, and I don't want to speak for Steve here or any other electrical inspectors on my side of the table, but they create their own work list as well for different applications. For example, they may have a work list just shows petitions for variance. They just want to see a work list on all the petitions for variance that come in. They want to see a work list just on the plan review onlys, or they may want to see a work list that's just for permits. So it's an option for you guys to do in creating those work lists. But again, I just want to reiterate, and I want to close this so I don't get confused. I just want to reiterate that these work lists here were created for testing purposes only. They were only there for you guys to use. Now, again, you can create new ones even in pre-prod today, so you get accustomed to how to do it. But I think, I believe John asked this question, I believe it was him, but anything you do in pre-prod is not going to transfer over to production. Meaning that if you create a work list in this environment, in the pre-production environment, you're going to have to do it again when you get into production. But with that being said, it's probably within your best interest to learn how to create a work list in pre-production so that when we do move to production, you know how to do it and create your own work lists. In addition to that, one thing I wanted to point out, which, Ed, you may have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the job aid does allow you to copy an existing work list, and you can edit it and change it to how you feel you want to use it. So for example, if you want to take this electrical permits active work list, it's just as simple as creating a new view I apologize. Edit it. I think it's edit that work list. You can save it as something else, and you can then edit that particular one, and we'll just call it active, and we'll just say Badger State. It only has so many characters. You can only, we'll just say Badger State. And you can change this so that you can do a filter by county of project. Let me open that up real quick here. County from project. And I want to equal all of them that are in Marathon. What other counties you guys got up there? Do you guys got Violus? Let's just use that for example purposes for this presentation. So this particular work list I've set up that it has a filter that counties, that any project that comes in with Marathon and Violus County, you guys will see. So when I save this, I now have an additional work list in here called Electrical Permits Active Badger State. And when I open that, it's only going to show all of the counties for Marathon and Violus.
I'm sure we will be doing that.
Yep.
And it won't make any difference, we may have, right now we've got 2 inspectors, we may have 1 more. So if we do that, and each person will see you know, like John will see the ones where I'm inspecting on, and I'll see the ones where he is probably.
Correct.
Okay, that's good because we'll want to be able to know where everybody's headed, you know.
Yeah, and just to use an example, and I'm not sure if I don't see who's all on the call today here. Not sure if I think
John is
there,
on, so,
yeah, there was a discussion. I believe general engineering was going to have one person handle everything, so they'll have one work list that be able to see everything for their entire company. So it's up to you in terms of how you want to see the views in your internal company. If you want to have one master list, or if you want to have one list for each individual inspector, you can certainly do that.
okay, but that'll be great because that'll eliminate a lot of jumping around. Okay, the only other quick question I have is, every once in a while, as I'm snooping around in here, I get a screen that'll pop up and it'll say insufficient privileges. I'm assuming that, after we go live, I was probably trying to get in somewhere, where I wasn't allowed.
Correct. Yep, that's
Okay,
correct. It's done by design. So for let me just I'll briefly explain the reasons why. So the eSLA system, we are trying to turn the system into all of our applications by the department. This includes credentials, complaint investigations, commercial building plan reviews, POUTS reviews, plumbing reviews. There's a whole host of applications that the department or programs the department enforces. So the system, once we go live into production, and once you guys get access to production, you're going to, in essence, we wanted to make sure that you don't have access to all of those things in the back office. We only wanted you to have access to the things that you're supposed to see, such as electrical permits, electrical inspections. That's the only thing that you guys have the rights to see. So if you are poking around somewhere that I don't want to say you're not supposed to be in, you will get that warning that will say insufficient rights or privileges or whatever that dialog box that comes up. And that is by design, because we do not want you guys having access to something you shouldn't have access to. Now, with that being said, if there is something you think you absolutely need access to see, by all means, contact me when we do get there, or even if you're testing it in production, let me know and we can talk about it. And I will then talk with the powers to be above me to see whether or not that we want to grant you access to that. But we were very careful in making sure that you're only able to see certain things associated with the scope of your work under the contract. Does that help, Ron?
yeah, well, I kind of figured that, but I thought maybe, I don't want to go where I'm not supposed to go. And
Yep.
let's see what's here. Okay, my mic just went off, but it should be back on now.
Yep, I can
Uh,
hear you.
yeah, that was, for myself, I did, no, that's the only questions I had. I did review the thing you did for yesterday, because I had to duck out for another meeting, and I do not have any answer to why I submitted so many permits under one application, or permit cards, so I'm hoping you figured that out.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that one out on the back end. That was one of the things I wanted to follow up with you guys today on, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm not sure why you're able to submit multiple permits for some odd reason, or generate multiple permit cards.
Okay, well, that was the only questions I had, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, I just wanted to point out real quick that once, and I'm sure they know this, but once you have selected your work list, you can still sort. So I don't know if you want to show them that you can still sort by, like if you've got a work list that shows all active, but within it you want to see permit onlys, you can sort by permit type by clicking on the header.
Yep, good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Etta. So what Etta is talking about here is in the work list itself. It is pre-set based on the columns. Now, again, when you are editing the columns and editing the parameters of what you want to see, you can move these columns different locations so that the view is different for you. So for example, I don't necessarily want to see the permit number first. I want to see the applicant first. Well, you can certainly go in and edit the selected fields in the order. So for example, if I want to move the applicant up and not the number, I can certainly do that, and it will show the work list so that now you see the applicant. You could do the same thing with county. You could move the county first. It's sort of a wide open slate here in terms of how you want to format the individual columns. Going to what Etta stated is that when you are opening up your particular work lists, these columns are able to be filtered in an ascending or descending order. So for example, I want to see all of them from, say, that's probably not a bad, or it's probably a bad example. Let's just say I want to see all the permits that are marathon. Well, all I have to do is click on the header of that column, and it will automatically filter everything in order. So in this case, it's Marathon County, and then it'll show, looks like I have to go to the next page. I think I can do 100 lines here. Let me show 100 lines. You can see it's filtered by Marathon County, and then it shows all the permits that are Vilas County. Now that's in alphabetical order. If you click on it again, it'll reverse the order for you. So now it's showing all of Vilas County first and then Marathon County. But it's only based on the last column header that you filtered. So if I say, well, I don't want to see the counties, I want to see all the permits by actual person that's submitted. So if I click on applicant, it'll allow me to filter by alphabetical order, so I can quickly try and find, I want to see all the permits from Mark Anderson. Okay, here are all Mark Anderson's permits, right? They're all in order. These are all the ones that are active for Badger State, for Marathon and Vilas County, based on your filter parameters. And this allows you to quickly filter and sort. Again, it's in an ascending order by alphabetical order, but you can also click on it and it reverses it. And now it's going to show the reversal of the alphabetical order. So you can do that for any of these columns and headers within the work list. Same thing is true if you wanted to search it on just, I want to see the order of permit onlys and permit and plan review onlys. It looks like they only have one in here, I think. But if you click on that, it allows you to filter down by permit type. So those are just some things you can do to filter. Is there anything else, Etta, that you think I should show them?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Have you used the alphabet at the top? I mean, that works if you have multiple.
Oh, yeah, good point. So you can filter, you can do quick searches by filtering by the actual letter. And I believe you have to have, somebody's going to have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but you have to have the column highlighted. So if the column is highlighted, it will filter based on the letter within the alphabet. So for example, if I wanted to go see Mark Anderson's, if I click on M, it should show up all the M's. Okay, so that's another option you can do. But just as a caveat, just so that you know, it's only filtering based on the first character within the applicant's name or whatever text is within that column. So for example, if I wanted to see all of them from Mark Anderson, because Mark is the first word listed in the applicant's name, you won't be able to filter it on A. You would have to filter it on M. So that's just something to keep aware of. But anyway, that's a feature that you can certainly do to filter. Does that help, Ron?
Yes, that's great. That's almost like an Excel spreadsheet where you can sort and do all kinds of things.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, concerns, issues you're running into? Okay, I'm not hearing any. One of the things I wanted to bring up from yesterday's discussions, and unfortunately I closed it, but there are a couple things. One, yesterday we talked about the fact that you guys were not able to see, let me just open up one here real quick, and I'll show you guys it in the inspections tab. This new inspection button, let me click on that, the new inspection button. You guys should now see that. So I recommend that you make sure that you can see it now. We did submit a bug to our IT folks, our Deloitte, our third-party vendor that's programming the eSLA system for us. So we were able to get that added to your third-party electrical inspector profile within the system. So you guys should have access to that. I do know I did reach out to Dan Kegley of REM. He indicated he is able to see it. So my assumption is that all of you other third-party electrical inspectors should have the same exact features added to your profile. So please make sure that you have that in there. The other thing that I wanted to point out that I am working with our, again, Deloitte, which we don't know if it's going to be available in production. We're hoping it will be. But one of the things we're working on is making sure that the fees are not displayed on the permit card. These fees need to be removed. So the fees and total fee has to be removed. Now the installation components will remain, but the fees will be removed, especially for third-party electrical inspectors. So that's one of the things we're working on. The other thing we're working on is that these fees should be removed in the application in the customer portal as well. So we do have a couple bugs into Deloitte to get that corrected. We're hoping that, like I said, we're hoping to get that corrected before March 1st. But they are aware of it and they are working on it. I did see the prototypes within the development, I guess, environment is what it's called, the development environment, and they were able to get it fixed. It's just a matter of timing and trying to make sure that all that programming gets into production. So I just wanted to point that out, that we are trying to get that removed. In addition, I think it was John, John, are you on? I don't see the list of who's here today. I think, John, you had a question yesterday about the verbiage in the email sent to the customer indicating that they need to contact the third-party inspector to pay the fees for that permit. I did submit a what we're calling a bug or a user story. I did submit that to our Deloitte partners. They are working on it. They're looking into it. Hopefully they can have it done sometime relatively soon. However, I don't think it'll be done before we move into production. But they are aware of it and they are trying to come up with a solution that we can change the verbiage on that particular email that does get sent out to the customer. In addition to that, oh shoot, I should have kept that open. In addition to that, let me open up that particular permit card again. Actually, that's a bad example. Let me go back to one that was done by a third-party electrical inspector. Let's use this one. No, that one's not done yet. Let's use, yeah, this one. And in this particular example, you'll see that the email address here is listed for John, as well as John is the inspector. However, the inspector phone number is not listed. We did that by design, at least in the pre-production environment. But I wanted to show you guys how you guys can get that phone number listed on the permit. In your, when you come into the back office for the first time, there you should see your name listed up here. If you click on it, and I believe it's either, I think it's My Profile. Yep, it's My Profile. You'll see a little edit button here on, or a little pencil, which is the edit button under Contact. If you click on that, you can fill out the work phone number. I know there's also a listing for mobile phone. However, I just want to point out that the work phone is the number that is pulled into the permit. So if you have a mobile phone or your company's work phone that you want to make sure it's displayed on the permit, you can just certainly put that number in here, and it will automatically be put into the permit once you approve that permit application. It should display on the permit card. So it's just something that I wanted to point out that you guys can certainly test for yourselves. However, when we do move to production, you may have to go through and do this again when we do go into production. So just keep that in mind. So I wanted to point those things out to you. Let me just make sure I go back to my list here. Yep, I believe that covered everything that we kind of talked about from yesterday's meeting, I believe. I believe that covered everything. Any questions? All right. Hearing none. Oh, actually, let's see here. Dan Kegley, are you on? Dan on today? Let me just go back to my list of people here. I don't see Dan Kegley. He is on. Dan had some questions for me, which I was hoping to address today, but some of them are contract related too. So I guess, again, this meeting is recorded, so I will be having this uploaded to YouTube. Give it at least a couple of days before you actually see this recording, because the individual I've been working with that converts all these to YouTube for the department, he is actually on vacation. He'll be back probably next Tuesday. So this recording probably won't be uploaded until then. So please keep that in mind, but it is recorded and it will be available to you at some point after next week, or at least after mid next week. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. And again, if you have any questions or concerns that you want to send me in advance, certainly do so. You can certainly call me. You can certainly email me. And then again, you can also bring them up for tomorrow's eSLA Huddle meeting. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.